All right, let's dig into one of the biggest and frankly scariest emerging risks in tech right now, agentic AI. These aren't just your standard chatbots anymore. We're talking about AIs that can actually do things on their own. And when we give them too much power, well, the consequences can be immediate and really, really severe. So let's talk about how we build the right guardrails. This this quote right here gets to the absolute heart of the problem. With the AI we're used to, if it messes up, a human can usually catch it, fix it, no big deal. But with agentic AI, the actions are instantaneous, they're often irreversible. The damage is done before you even know something's wrong. So, what really makes this new wave of AI so different? It all comes down to a fundamental shift, a move from an AI that suggests things to an AI that just does them. And you gotta understand, this isn't some minor technical detail. It creates an entirely new category of risk that most of us are not prepared to handle. Look at this comparison, it lays it out perfectly. On the left, you've got the AI we know and love, right? It recommends a product on a website, suggests a reply to an email. There's always that human step, that final okay. But on the right, that's the new world. The AI doesn't just recommend the product, it buys it. It doesn't draft the email, it sends it. That little gap between suggests and does is where all the danger lives. And this brings us right to the core problem we're talking about today, excessive agency. Honestly, think of it this way. Would you give a brand new intern on their first day the company credit card with no limit just to go grab some coffee? Of course not, right? It would be insane. Yet that's exactly what we're doing with AI agents, giving them way more power than they need to do their job and creating massive, unnecessary risk. So where does all this excessive power even come from? It's not just one single thing. This risk actually breaks down into three really distinct areas, three dimensions where we tend to give these agents way too much rope. Let's unpack them one by one. First up, we've got excessive functionality. Just imagine a simple AI whose only job is to schedule meetings. All it needs is calendar access. But what if, for convenience, we also give it access to all our company documents and the ability to send company-wide emails? See the problem? Every extra tool you give it is another way for things to go horribly wrong. A simple scheduling bug could suddenly turn into a massive confidential data leak. Second is excessive permissions. This one is super common. Let's say you have an AI that summarizes long documents. It only needs read access, right? But developers, often in a hurry, will give it full read and write access to the entire file system just in case. By doing that, you've just defined the absolute worst-case scenario. Now that simple summarizer could accidentally delete critical business files, or even worse, it could silently modify them, corrupting your data for weeks before anyone even notices. And third, there's excessive autonomy. This is the big one. This is when we decide to completely remove the human safety net. A customer service bot might be great for answering frequently asked questions, but should it have the power to issue a $100,000 refund all by itself with no oversight? At that point, it's not a customer service tool anymore. It's a direct, uncapped financial liability waiting to happen. Okay. All of this leads us to a really critical and maybe for some a slightly uncomfortable shift in thinking. And this comes straight from the security experts at the OWASP Foundation. The goal here is not to figure out how we can trust our AI agents. The real goal is to build systems where trust isn't even required in the first place. And this quote, this just nails it. This should be printed out and taped to the wall of every security architect. Every single request, every action that comes from an AI agent needs to be treated with the exact same level of skepticism as an anonymous request coming from the public internet. So what does that actually mean in practice? It means you have to verify everything. You never just trust that the agent intends to do the right thing. And this last point is absolutely crucial. You cannot rely on clever prompts to keep your AI in line. Let me say that again. Prompt engineering is not a security control. Real robust security is enforced by the system, not by asking the agent nicely. Now look, if that whole zero trust thing feels a bit too abstract, here's a much simpler way to think about it. I call it the intern test. It's so simple and so effective. Ask yourself, would you let a brand new, totally unsupervised intern delete production files or wire money? The answer is obviously no, right? Well, then don't let your AI agent do it either. It just makes the whole idea of least privilege instantly clear. Okay, so we've defined the problem, we've got the right mindset. Now for the important part. What do we actually do about it? Let's move to the solution. This is about building a defense-in-depth model, and here is a 5-layer framework that will get you there.
First things first, you have to understand the level of risk you're dealing with for any given action. This agency risk ladder is a fantastic tool for that. You see, level 1, just reading data, that's generally safe. Level 2, maybe creating a draft document, still pretty acceptable. But the moment you hit level 3, things like sending an email or creating a pull request, you absolutely need human approval. Anything above that is getting into high-risk territory, or, well, it should just never be allowed, period.
So now we take that risk ladder and we apply it across these 5 layers of defense. Number 1, start with least privilege. That's our intern test. Number 2, restrict its tools. Don't give it the kitchen sink, give it an allow list of only what it needs. 3, enforce a human in the loop for any action above level 2 on that risk ladder. 4, monitor its behavior constantly for anything that looks weird. And finally, number 5, build hard technical boundaries, including that all-important kill switch. All right, let's wrap this all up by focusing on the absolute, non-negotiable rules you have to enforce. These are the red lines in the sand. These are what keep your autonomous systems from becoming a massive liability. The first red line is all about level 3 on that risk ladder we just saw. Any agent that's taking multi-step actions, things that actually change the state of your systems, like sending an email chain or deploying code, it must pause and wait for explicit human approval. No exceptions. This is your single most important safety valve. And the second red line is all about speed. You need to ask yourself this: can you globally halt every single one of your agents in under 10 seconds? If the answer is no, they're already too powerful. Because when things go wrong with AI, they go wrong at machine speed, unbelievably fast. Your emergency brake has to be faster.
So, to recap, what are the absolute key things to walk away with? First, remember, agents act. They don't just advise, and their mistakes are real. Second, you have to control all 3 dimensions: functionality, permissions, and autonomy. Third, adopt that zero-trust mindset. Agents cannot be trusted. And finally, implement that 5-layer defense, always starting with the safest default, read-only, and only expanding permissions when you absolutely have to. So I'll just leave you with this one last question, and it's a crucial one. Your agents are running right now. Do you know for a fact that you can hit the big red button and stop every single one of them in under 10 seconds? If the answer is no, or if it's even, I think so, then you know exactly where you need to start.